Nestled in the misty hills above the Moselle River, Elt's castle stood as a sentinel of time, its turrets piercing the fog like the fingers of a forgotten god. The castle, with its labyrinthine halls and ancient tapestries, had been home to the Elt's family for centuries, its stones steeped in stories of valor, betrayal, and whispers of the supernatural. In the autumn of 1923, a girl named Clara, barely 12, arrived at the castle with her widowed mother, Elise, who had been hired as a governess for the young baron. Hansi Altz. Clara was a peculiar child, with wide hazel eyes that seemed to see beyond the veil of the ordinary. Her chestnut curls framed a face too serious for her age, and she carried a tattered journal where she scribbled her thoughts in a script so small it seemed meant for secrets. The castle, with its creaking floors and shadowed corners, fascinated her. While Elise tutored Hans in the grand library, Clara roamed the halls, her footsteps echoing in chambers untouched by sunlight, one stormy evening as rain lashed the castle's leaded windows. Clara discovered a hidden door behind a faded tapestry in the west wing. The tapestry depicted a woman in a crimson gown, her eyes mournful, her hands clasped around a locket. Clara's fingers traced the door's iron handle, and with a shiver of excitement, she pushed it open. Beyond was a spiral staircase descending into darkness. The air was thick with the scent of damp stone and something sweeter, like wilted roses dot at the bottom of the stairs. Clara found a circular chamber, its walls adorned with mirrors that reflected her trembling form in endless fractals. In the center stood a wooden cradle, carved with roses and thorns, empty but swaying gently as if rocked by an unseen hand. A faint whisper curled through the air, a voice neither male nor female, singing a lullaby in a language Clara didn't know but felt in her bones. She clutched her journal, her heart pounding, and wrote, "The castle is alive, it watches me." That night, Clara dreamed of the woman from the tapestry. She stood in the chamber, her crimson gown pooling like blood, her locket glowing faintly. "Find me," she whispered, her voice a thread of sorrow. "Free me." Clara woke with a start, her journal opened to a page she didn't remember writing. Her name is Isolde. She waits in the mirrors. Days turned to weeks, and Clara's fascination with the chamber grew. She returned nightly, drawn by the whispers that now followed her through the castle. The mirrors in the chamber began to show her things, flashes of a woman's face, a child's laughter, a man's shadow with a blade. The servants noticed Clara's pallor and whispered among themselves, but Elise, consumed by her duties, dismissed it as childish imagination. Hans, a sensitive boy of 10, was Clara's only confidant. He believed her stories, his blue eyes wide with awe, and he began to hear the whispers too. One night, Clara and Hans sneaked into the chamber together. The cradle rocked faster, and the mirrors pulsed with a faint light. The whispers grew louder, forming words. "Blood binds us, blood breaks us." Hans clutched Clara's hand, trembling. "Who's Isolde?" he whispered. Clara didn't know, but the name burned in her mind. She opened her journal and found new words scrawled in her own hand. "Look in the locket." The next day, Clara searched the castle's archives, a dusty attic filled with crumbling ledgers and portraits. She found a record of Isolde von Eltz, a baroness who vanished in 1643, along with her infant daughter after her husband, Lord Dietrich, accused her of witchcraft. The story claimed Isolde had cursed the castle before her disappearance, vowing her spirit would never rest until her truth was known. A sketch of Isolde matched the woman in the tapestry, locket, and all. Clara's dreams grew darker. Isolde appeared nightly, her face gaunt, her eyes pleading. "The locket," she whispered, pointing to the cradle. Clara began to feel a weight in her chest, as if the castle's stones were pressing down on her. She stopped eating, her skin pale as moonlight, and Elise, finally noticing her daughter's decline, forbade her from wandering the castle. But Clara couldn't stop. The whispers were a siren's call, and the chamber was her obsession. One moonless night, Clara slipped into the chamber alone, her journal tucked under her arm. The mirrors glowed brighter, and the cradle spun wildly. She reached inside and found a hidden compartment beneath the velvet lining. Her fingers closed around a cold silver locket engraved with roses. She opened it, and a scream tore through. The chamber not hers, but Isolde's. The mirrors shattered, and Clara fell to her knees, visions flooding her mind. She saw Isolde, young and radiant, cradling her daughter, Anna, in the chamber. Dietrich, consumed by jealousy and paranoia, believed Isolde's beauty was a spell, her love for their child a betrayal. He locked them in the chamber, accusing her of consorting with spirits. Isolde, desperate, hid Anna in the cradle's compartment, praying she'd be found. But Dietrich returned, his blade flashing, and Isolde's blood stained the stones. Anna suffocated in the hidden space, her tiny life snuffed out. Isolde's final breath was a curse. The castle would never know peace until her daughter's body was laid to rest. Clara staggered to her feet, the locket burning in her hand. The whispers were silent now, but the air was heavy with grief. She ran to her mother, sobbing, and told her everything. Elise, skeptical but shaken, followed Clara to the chamber. They pried open the cradle's compartment, and there, wrapped in decayed silk, were the fragile bones of a child. Elise wept, clutching Clara, and the castle seemed to sigh, its walls trembling. The twist came at dawn, when the family gathered to bury Anna's remains in the castle's chapel. Hans, standing beside Clara, whispered, "I saw her too, Isolde. She called me her son." Clara froze. Hans's eyes, once blue, now mirrored Isolde's gray and ancient. The locket, now in Elise's possession, glowed faintly, and Clara realized the truth. Hans was no ordinary boy. He was Isolde's son, reborn through the centuries, bound to the castle's curse. His soul was tied to Isolde's, trapped in a cycle of grief and vengeance. Clara, trembling, wrote in her journal, "The castle doesn't let go. It keeps what it loves." She knew Hans would never leave, and neither would Isolde's spirit, not until the full truth of Dietrich's betrayal was exposed. But the locket held one final secret, a map etched inside, leading to a hidden vault, where Dietrich's confession was said to be buried. Clara vowed to find it, to free Hans and Isolde, even if it meant facing the castle's wrath. The burial brought no peace. The whispers returned, softer but insistent, and Clara felt the castle, watching, waiting. She was part of its story now, a girl bound to its shadows, her journal a testament to the ghosts who loved too fiercely to fade. The story of Clara and the haunting of Elt's castle weaves a tale of loss, discovery, and a chilling connection across time, with the castle itself as a living, breathing entity that holds its secrets tight. The burial of Anna's fragile bones in the chapel of Elt's castle did not still the whispers. If anything, they grew sharper, weaving through Clara's dreams like thorns through silk. The locket, now locked in Elise's bureau, pulsed with a warmth Clara could feel across rooms, as if it were a heart beating in the castle's stone chest. Hans, the young baron, had changed since the burial. His once bright laughter was muted, his gaze distant, and his eyes, those gray mirrors of Isolde's, followed Clara with an unspoken plea. She knew he was not just Hans anymore. He was something older, something bound to the castle's curse. Clara, now 13, felt the weight of her discovery like a millstone. Her journal, filled with frantic scribbles, was her only refuge. She wrote of the map etched inside the locket, a labyrinth of lines pointing to a vault beneath the castle's foundations. The map was incomplete, its edges faded, but it hinted at a chamber sealed since 1643, the year Isolde and Anna died. Clara believed Dietrich's confession, a letter or ledger detailing his betrayal, lay hidden there, the key to breaking the curse that tethered Isolde's spirit and Hans's soul. The castle seemed to resist her. Doors jammed, candles flickered out, and shadows stretched unnaturally in her path. Elise, worn thin by her daughter's obsession, forbade Clara from speaking of ghosts or vaults. "You're scaring Hans," she said, her voice trembling. But Clara saw the fear in her mother's eyes, not of ghosts, but of her daughter's unraveling mind. Hans, however, believed her. Late at night, when the castle slept, he met her in the west wing, his small hands clutching a stolen key to the bureau. "We have to find it," he whispered, his voice layered with Isolde's sorrow. "She's in me, Clara. I feel her crying." They retrieved the locket under moonlight, its glow casting eerie patterns on the walls. Clara traced the map's lines, her fingers trembling. It pointed to the crypt beneath the chapel, a place forbidden to all but the Eltz family. Hans, as the young baron, had access, but the crypt's iron gate was locked with a mechanism older than the castle itself. The whispers grew louder as they approached, a chorus of voices now, chanting in that strange, ancient tongue. Clara's journal filled with new words she didn't remember writing. "The vault demands blood. Only kin can open it." The crypt was a maze of stone coffins and moss-covered walls, lit only by their flickering lantern. Hans's breath hitched. As they found the vault's entrance, a slab of granite carved with the same roses and thorns as the cradle. A circular indentation in the center matched the locket's shape. Clara pressed it in, and the air grew heavy, the whispers a deafening roar. The slab shuddered but didn't move. Hans, pale and trembling, pressed his hand to the stone, and blood trickled from his palm, though no wound was visible. The slab groaned, sliding open to reveal a narrow passage. Inside the vault was a shrine to Isolde. Faded portraits lined the walls, showing her laughing, weeping, cradling Anna. A stone table held a single parchment, yellowed and brittle, sealed with the Eltz crest. Clara's hands shook as she opened it. Dietrich's confession was written in a jagged script, each word dripping with guilt. He admitted to his paranoia, his belief that Isolde's love for Anna was a spell to usurp his power. He described locking them in the chamber, his rage blinding him as he struck Isolde down. But the final lines revealed a deeper horror. Dietrich had known Anna was hidden in the cradle. He left her to die, believing her death would end the witch's line. His confession ended with a plea for forgiveness written in blood. Clara wept, the parchment crumpling in her hands. Hans fell to his knees, his body shaking as Isolde's grief poured through him. The vault trembled, dust raining from the ceiling, and the whispers became a scream. "Free us." Clara realized the curse wasn't just Isolde's, it was Dietrich's too. His guilt had bound him to the castle, his spirit a shadow in the mirrors, forever watching his crime replay. The locket, warm in her hand, pulsed faster, and Clara understood. The curse required more than truth. It demanded atonement. The twist came as they emerged from the vault. Hans's eyes were no longer gray. They were black, bottomless, and his voice was not his own. "You see me now," he said, and Clara knew it was Dietrich, not Isolde, speaking through him. The castle had kept them both, predator and prey, locked in an eternal dance. Hans's body swayed, and he lunged at Clara, his hands clawing for the locket. She stumbled back, the parchment falling, and the vault sealed shut with a thunderous crash, trapping Hans inside. Clara screamed, pounding on the stone, but the whispers were silent. Elise found her hours later, sobbing in the crypt. The locket clutched to her chest. The castle was still, too still, as if holding its breath. Hans was gone, and the Eltz family, devastated, sent Clara and Elise away, blaming them for the boy's disappearance. Clara's journal, left behind in the chaos, was found years later. Its final entry a chilling warning: the castle chooses who stays. It chose Hans, it chose me. Clara never returned to Elt's castle, but the locket remained with her, its pulse a constant reminder. She grew old, her hazel eyes haunted, telling no one of the vault or Dietrich's confession. Yet she dreamed of Hans, his black eyes pleading, and Isolde, her crimson gown fading into mist. The castle, she knew, was waiting for her, for another, for someone to finish what she began. Its shadows whispered still, hungry for blood, for truth, for release. The years had not been kind to Clara. At 21, in the autumn of 1931, she returned to Elt's castle, drawn by a pull she could neither explain nor resist. The locket, now a constant weight around her neck, thrummed against her chest like a second heartbeat, its warmth a siren's call. Her mother, Elise, had died the previous winter, her final words a whispered warning: "Leave the castle be, Clara. It's not done with you." But Clara couldn't. Her dreams were a torment of Hans's black eyes, Isolde's blood-soaked gown, and the vault's suffocating darkness. Her old journal, recovered from a dusty archive by a curious historian, had been sent to her, its pages now brittle, the ink bleeding as if weeping. The final entry, in a hand not quite her own, read, "The castle calls its kin. You are not free." Clara arrived at dusk, the castle's silhouette jagged against a blood-red sky. The Moselle Valley was silent, the air thick with the scent of rotting leaves and something metallic like blood. The Elt's family, diminished since Hans's disappearance, had abandoned the castle to caretakers who whispered of strange noises and flickering lights. Clara, now gone, her hazel eyes hollow, carried only a satchel with her journal, a flashlight, and the locket. The caretaker, an old man with trembling hands, refused to let her stay past nightfall. "It's not safe," he muttered, crossing himself. "The shadows move." Clara ignored him, slipping through the gates as the moon rose, pale and swollen. The castle was a mausoleum. Dust coated the tapestries, and the air was heavy with mildew and despair. The west wing, where the hidden door lay, seemed to pulse, with a life of its own. Clara's flashlight flickered as she pushed aside the tapestry of Isolde, its crimson threads frayed, the woman's eyes now seeming to follow her. The spiral staircase to the mirror chamber was colder than she remembered, the walls slick with moisture that glistened like tears. Each step echoed, but other sounds joined them, soft scrapes, like nails on stone, and a child's distant sob. The mirror chamber was a nightmare frozen in time. The shattered mirrors had been replaced, but their surfaces were warped, reflecting. Clara, in grotesque distortions, her face elongated, her eyes bleeding black. The cradle still stood, its roses and thorns now blackened as if burned. The locket burned against her skin, and the whispers returned, no longer a lullaby but a cacophony of voices, snarling, pleading, accusing. Kin, blood, atonement. Clara's hands shook as she opened her journal, finding new words scrawled across the pages. The vault is not the end. The castle is the cage. She descended to the crypt, the locket guiding her like a compass. The iron gate was ajar, its lock rusted and broken, as if the castle had been waiting. The air grew colder, her breath visible in the dim light. The granite slab of the vault was cracked, a jagged fissure running through the rose carving. Clara pressed the locket into the indentation, and the slab shuddered, grinding open with a sound like a scream. The passage beyond was narrower than she remembered, the walls closing in, slick with something dark and viscous. Her flashlight caught glints of movement shadows that darted just beyond the beam. Too human in their shape, the vault was no longer a shrine but a charnel house. The portraits of Isolde were slashed, their eyes gouged out. The stone table was stained with something black and sticky, and the air reeked of decay. Dietrich's confession was gone, but in its place lay a new horror, a pile of bones, not just Anna's but others, small and brittle, stacked like an offering. Clara gagged, her flashlight trembling, revealing etchings on the wall's names, dozens of them scratched in desperation. Anna, Hans, Elise. Her mother's name hit like a blow, and Clara stumbled back, her journal falling open to a page she hadn't seen. The castle feeds on kin. You're next. A low growl filled the vault, not from the walls, but from within her. The locket burned, searing her skin, and she tore it off, blood welling where it had touched. The shadows coalesced, forming a figure Hans, but not Hans. His face was a grotesque mask, half his own, half Dietrich's, with black eyes that leaked inky tears. You brought it back, he rasped, his voice a chorus of Isolde's screams and Dietrich's guilt. You opened the cage. The bones on the table rattled, rising into the air, forming a skeletal, SD system, spectral shape. Clara screamed, her voice swallowed by the vault's oppressive silence. The figure of Hans Dietrich lunged, its form flickering like smoke, and Clara ran, her flashlight dying as the vault sealed itself once more. She stumbled through the crypt, the castle's walls seeming to rive, the whispers now a deafening roar, kin, blood, forever. She burst into the courtyard, collapsing under the weight of the locket, which she still clutched. The caretaker found her at dawn, raving about bones and shadows, her journal clutched to her chest. They sent her to an asylum, her story dismissed as madness, but the locket remained with her, its pulse never fading. Years later, a new family moved into Eltz Castle, unaware of its hunger. The locket, lost in Clara's transfer to the asylum, was found by a girl with hazel eyes. The whispers began again, soft at first, calling her name. The castle, alive and insatiable, had chosen its next kin, its shadows stretching across centuries, waiting for blood to seal its curse once more. The asylum's walls were as cold as Eltz Castle's, but they lacked its pulse. Clara, now 28 in the spring of 1938, sat hunched in her cell, her once vivid hazel eyes dulled by years of sedatives and solitude. Her chestnut curls were shorn, her hands scarred from clawing at unseen shadows. The locket was gone, confiscated by the asylum staff, but its warmth lingered in her chest, a phantom burn that never faded. Her journal, deemed evidence of her madness, had been locked away, but Clara's mind was its own archive, replaying the vault, the bones, and Hans's black-eyed stare. She whispered to herself, the castle isn't done. It's waiting. The nurses ignored her, but the words felt like prophecy in the Moselle Valley. Eltz Castle stood abandoned, its turrets crumbling under Ivy's chokehold. The Eltz family had fled after Hans's disappearance, and the caretakers followed, driven out by footsteps in empty halls and mirrors that reflected faces not their own. Yet the castle drew others, historians, thrill-seekers, and in 1938, a young archaeologist named Lena, barely 20, with hazel eyes that mirrored Clara's. Lena had found Clara's journal in a Munich archive, its pages a map to the castle's secrets. The final entry, in a jagged script, read, "The castle is the cage, the locket is the key, only kin can end it." Lena, driven by curiosity and a strange pull she couldn't name, arrived at Eltz with a satchel of tools and Clara's journal. Unaware she carried the same bloodline-distant kin to Isolde, a secret buried in her family's forgotten past. The castle greeted Lena with silence. Its gates rested open, the courtyard choked with weeds. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and the wind carried a faint hum, like a child's lullaby twisted into discord. Lena clutched the journal, her flashlight cutting through the gloom of the west wing. The tapestry of Isolde hung in tatters, the woman's face reduced to threads, but her locket gleamed in the woven image, a beacon. Lena found the hidden door, its iron handle warm under her touch, and descended the spiral staircase to the mirror chamber. The mirrors were intact again, their surfaces rippling like water, reflecting not Lena, but a girl with chestnut curls, Clara. Young and terrified, her mouth open in a silent scream. Lena's breath caught. The cradle in the chamber's center rocked violently, its thorns dripping a dark, viscous liquid that pooled on the floor. The whispers began, a chorus of voices, Isolde's, Hans's, Dietrich's, and others. Countless others, snarling, kin, blood, atonement. Lena's flashlight flickered and the mirrors pulsed, showing fragments of horror. Isolde's bloodied gown, Anna's tiny bones, Hans's black eyes, and Clara, her face gaunt, clawing at a sealed vault. Lena's hand went to her neck, where she'd hung a locket she'd found in her grandmother's attic, a silver rose, identical to Isolde's. It burned, and her vision blurred with images of a woman's scream, a man's blade, and a child's suffocating darkness. Driven by the locket's pulse, Lena descended to the crypt, the journal trembling in her grip. The iron gate was gone, replaced by a gaping maw of stone. The air was rancid, heavy with the coppery tang of blood. The granite slab of the vault was split wide, as if clawed open from within. Lena stepped inside, her flashlight revealing a chamber transformed into a grotesque cathedral. The walls were alive, pulsing with veins of black ichor that writhed like worms. The pile of bones had grown, a grotesque altar now adorned with fresh remains, animal skulls, human fingers, and a child's ribcage, still glistening. Above it, etched in blood, were the words, "The castle feeds." Lena's scream was swallowed by a growl, deep and guttural, from the shadows. The figure of Hans emerged, his body a patchwork of decay, half boy, half Dietrich, his flesh peeling to reveal bone. His eyes were voids, leaking ink that stained the floor. "You brought it," he hissed, pointing to the locket. "You opened the cage." Lena stumbled back, the journal falling open to a page she hadn't seen. The castle is kin. It takes us all. The bones on the altar rattled, rising into a skeletal form. Anna, her skull tilted, her sockets glowing with the same light as the locket. Isolde's voice joined the chorus, not pleading but commanding. "End it, blood for blood." Lena's mind fractured under the weight of the visions. She saw Dietrich's betrayal, his blade cutting Isolde's throat, Anna's muffled cries in the cradle, and Clara, trapped in the vault, her screams echoing as the castle claimed her. Lena realized the truth. The castle wasn't just haunted, it was alive, a sentient predator that fed on the Elt's bloodline, binding their souls to its stones. Clara, Hans, Anna, and now Lena were its kin, their lives fuel for its endless hunger. The locket was its heart, a tether that drew them back, generation after generation. Desperate, Lena clutched the locket, its heat searing her palm. She ran, the vault collapsing behind her, stones falling like teeth. The crypt's walls closed in, the ichor veins lashing at her ankles. She reached the mirror chamber, where the mirrors now showed her own face, twisted into Isolde's, then Clara's, then Anna's. The cradle exploded into splinters, and the whispers became a scream. "You cannot leave." Lena's flashlight died, and Hans's figure lunged, his skeletal hands clawing for the locket. She tore it from her neck, blood welling, and hurled it into a mirror. The glass shattered, and a shockwave threw her to the ground. The castle groaned, a sound like a dying beast. The mirrors cracked, spilling black ichor that burned the floor. Hans's form dissolved, his scream blending with Isolde's and Dietrich's, a cacophony of release and rage. Lena crawled to the staircase, her body bruised, her mind teetering. The castle shook, its walls crumbling, and she stumbled into the courtyard as dawn broke, the sky a sickly gray. The locket lay in the dirt, its glow fading, but the whispers lingered faint and venomous. Kin returns. Lena fled, leaving the journal behind, its pages scattered in the wind. She never spoke of Elt's castle, but the locket's burn remained, a scar on her chest. Years later, in 1950, a new family claimed the castle, rebuilding its walls. Their daughter, a girl with hazel eyes, found the silver locket in the rubble, its rose engraving warm to the touch. The whispers began again, soft as a lullaby, calling her name. The castle, wounded but alive, waited for its next kin, its hunger. Eternal dot in the asylum, Clara, now gray and frail, smiled as she felt the locket's pulse die. She whispered, "It's not over," and closed her eyes, her final breath a sigh of surrender. The castle had claimed her, as it would claim them, all its shadows weaving a cage no blood could escape.